Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. I have a very interesting editorial for you today, but this editorial will be slightly different is because I'm going to read a few things out to you. Now, I have a couple of topics that I'm going to discuss with you, but all these topics are related. And I will tell you how. You see, the first thing I want to talk to you about is about the JNU professor Mr. C.P. Chandrasekhar's resignation from the Economic Statistics Committee. I'm going to read out his resignation letter to you. Number one. Number two is I'm going to read out the Facebook post of a very famous businessman, Mr. Kishore V. Mariwala. I'm going to read out his Facebook post to you. That post will be self-explanatory. That's my story number two. My story number three is I'm going to talk about the GDP growth. It may slip to 11 years low to almost 5% in this fiscal year of 2020. So fiscal year ending 2019 and 2020. So I'm going to talk about that. And finally, I'm going to talk about a beautiful article that was written by Pratap Bhanu Mehta in Indian Express yesterday. And I'm going to take you through that article. So this is my editorial today. Let's get into the show. So here it is. Like I said, I'm going to do a lot of reading today. But believe me, it's going to be very interesting. You see, the professor of JNU, Mr. C.P. Chandrasekhar, who was also the committee member of the Economic Statistics Committee of Government of India, resigned yesterday. I'm going to read out his resignation letter to you. Just hear this out. I regret to inform you that because of the situation in JNU where I stay, I will be unable to attend tomorrow's meeting. I feel that under current conditions, this committee is unlikely to be able to restore the credibility of the statistical system, which has been undermined in the recent past. I wish to record my appreciation to the sustained effort of the large number of colleagues within the statistical system whom I have greatly valued working with in the past to build a robust and credible statistical base. It's unfortunate that political pressures have reduced their autonomy now, and efforts to consolidate a well-designed system are being subverted. In these circumstances, I will not be able to serve on this committee. This is what the professor said. Mind you, just to link another event to his resignation, in January 2019, P.C. Mohan, who was the chairman of NSC, National Statistical Commission, Government of India, had also resigned, saying that, boss, I cannot manipulate statistics. I do not want to see the credibility of the statistics that NSC is giving out is compromised. I cannot see it. He had resigned. Exactly the same what Professor C.P. Chandrasekhar said. He too said that, listen, no credibility. There is a lot of effort we took to make this committee a robust committee so that the statistics given to my countrymen, there is a tremendous amount of credibility. Technically means we do not want to lie to our countrymen. And the fact that chances are that they are made to do so, he says, I want to quit. And of course, he says, condition in my campus is also not good. That's my story number one. Now my story number two, connected. And I will tell you how it's connected. My story number two is about a Facebook post Mr. Kishore V. Mariwala wrote. He wrote that on the 5th of Jan and he writes, I was ashamed. I have come to Phuket, Thailand for a sailing holiday. I have chartered a yacht with a skipper for sailing for a week. On arrival here yesterday, I went to the chartering company's office to finalize the arrangement. At the office, the receptionist took down all the necessary details, and then she asked me, "Sir, you are from India. Are you a Hindu?" And I said, "Yes. Why are you asking this?" She just called her boss, the manager. He came out and they both talked something in their Thai language. The manager turned to me and said, "Sir, all our skippers except one have gone with other yachts. The only one left is a Muslim. I hope you don't mind that." I was shocked and asked, "Why are you asking this?" "Why should I mind?" "Sir," he said, "we read in the newspaper that Hindus don't want Muslims near them. So we were worried about it." I was ashamed beyond words. I explained to him that not only I, but most of the cultured Hindus don't behave like what they must have read. Is this our reputation abroad amongst common people? I was really ashamed. There is no much explanation to this. There is no much explanation to this. We've been talking about our reputation, our brand value that's been going down, and we being seen as a fanatic Hindu country. We've been talking about it. This is one more story that endorses that. But like I said, my editorial today are connected. Now let's go to my story number 3. My story number 3 is small and very simple. GDP growth for India fiscal year 2019-2020 will be somewhere hovering around 5%. That is what the Central Statistics Office, which is what we were talking about just a few minutes earlier, Central Statistics Office says 5%. Now, if it's 5%, we are going to hit 11 years low. India had not had this kind of growth in the last 11 years, and all this talk about 5 trillion economy doesn't even look remotely possible. Unemployment, loss in business, all of that seems to be staring at us. That's my story number 3. Now, let's come to the story number 4. And story number 4 is a beautiful article that I read yesterday, written by Pratap Bhanu Mehta, a very famous author in Indian Express. I will use his article as a reference, but talk and a lot of stuff which he said. And he has articulated the thought so well. So I'm going to use a lot of that. But I'm going to tell you what he wrote and how what he wrote links to everything that I just said. You see, it's like this. When a government, when a regime decides to not talk about accomplishment because they have none, they do not talk about accomplishment, but they talk about an enemy. So what really happens is either you can say, you know what, I have achieved this, I have achieved that, I have achieved this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this difference, I'm going to make this progress. Either we say that, or what has been happening in our country for the last 6 years is not about achievements, but it is about, he's bad, he's minority, so he's bad, he's anti-national, he's liberal, so he's anti-national, he's our enemy. He's intellectual, so he's our enemy. He's leftist, so he's our enemy. He's urban Nexel, so he's our enemy. We have not been talking about accomplishment. Instead, we've been creating enemies. And in the process of creating enemies, we have taken away our focus from accomplishment of the government to fighting the enemies or fighting this so-called created enemies. This is what Pratap Bhanu says. Imagine the Home Minister of the country standing in a podium and says, "Ye tukde gang hai na, unko hum sabak sikhayenge." What sabak will the Home Minister teach people? What are we talking about? People who lynch unarmed people, who 20, 40 people come and lynch a person to death. The lynchers become nationalist heroes. There was a point in time where what the Prime Minister says, what the Parliament says was worth its weight in gold. What we say as a country was patthar ki lakir, as they call it, writing on the wall. The statistics we give out would be the statistics. Today, every statistics that we see, everybody wants to Google and check out, bhai, actual scene kya hai? Because you get a statistics on a Monday and on a Tuesday there is something else that comes out saying that all this is all fake. Are you connecting all my stories now? Story number one, where a professor of a university like JNU and the chairman of National Statistical Commission quits because they said, we've been asked to compromise on our numbers, which means the numbers that I'm putting up is not correct. You have a story of a man who goes abroad, and when he goes abroad, he's asked, are you Hindu? Arey baap re, there's a Muslim skipper, there's a Muslim captain, is it okay? Are you okay? Will you get angry? Because we read in newspaper that Hindu gets angry with Muslim. Is that what we are? I ask all Hindus. We constantly said, I was trolled too, we constantly said that this is the image that has been created internationally against Hindus and India. And it has not been created by some unknown anti-national elements across the globe. It is created by our own people. It is created by our actions. And this is the fact. My story number 3 spoke about what is the situation of our GDP. 5%. 11 years, all-time growth. When there is this government whose narrative was 5 trillion economy. Change the country. Naya Bharat. What is Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas worth if there is no food to eat? If the government can't provide jobs and can't provide food on the table? What is all this worth? And finally, if you connect all this, the reason is what Pratap Bhanu's article talks about. We are not bothered about the economy. We are not bothered about growth. We don't talk about trade. We don't talk about economy. We don't talk about helping business. We don't talk about how business can grow. We don't talk about how our deficit finance should be reduced. We don't talk about nothing. All we talk about is CA lagu hona chahiye. All we talk about is Article 370 abrogation. Barabar kiya ki nahi? Somebody. All we talk about is, no, Unified Civil Code should come very soon. That's all that we talk about. Why? Because if you don't do that, those anti-nationals are there. If you don't take out CA, those anti-nationals are sitting in India. Oh, we don't do NRC, those anti-nationals will kill India. If you don't do that, those anti-nationals will do it. You have constantly, the only thing that we have created and created in abundance in the last 5 years are enemies. Not money, not jobs, not food. Enemies. Till we meet next time. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.